Welcome to Winning Inside, the show where we follow the journey from feeling defeated to winning. Here are your hosts, Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman.
Hello, amazing people. Welcome to the Winning Inside podcast, where we discuss real issues, insights, and solutions to help you thrive in your day-to-day lives.
We know life happens, and we can choose to be a spectator or a participant. How is everybody out there doing? And my favorite person online right now is Michelle. How are you today, Michelle?
Fantastic.
That's what we're going to say is fantastic.
Don't try and be an adult.
Don't try and be an adult now.
It's been raining all night. It's beautiful outside. It's foggy. It's misty. It looks stunning. I got more than 7 hours of sleep. Well, I should say more than 5 hours because I actually went up into the sevens of sleep last night. So I feel great.
It's funny. She's being all.
How about you?
She's being all adult right now. But believe me, for the first time ever, I was the adult on the conversation. I was the adult and she was not. So now that she wants to be on here and act all grown, I was going to call it out that no, you were not. You were being all playful and kid-like, and it was kind of cool. And I was the adult this time. So that's been put out there just so that everyone knows.
But we're doing the thing, and that's all that matters.
We are doing the thing.
We're doing the thing.
Defo going to do the thing.
So this is actually, I love this conversation because it was part of the conversation that we had this weekend. So I was at an event with my life coach school, also called the Life Coach School.
Creative.
Makes it nice and simple. It was an event that was called Work Hard, Play Hard. And, you know, one, it's just talking about working hard. What does working hard look like? What does focused hard work actually look like? And actually taking the time to sit down and write it out and figure that out, right? And then what does playing hard look like? And then also, what does resting hard look like?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Cool.
So taking the time to write out what all of that actually looks like for you, because it's different for different people. Mm-hmm. Also, what is the result? Where is it draining you and where is it energizing you? So working hard for me becomes a mental drain, right? So at the end of the day, I'm just like done. But what do I need to then sort of recoup that energy? Is it play or is it rest? For me, it was rest. For other people, it's play that actually re-energizes them. So I thought it was a really interesting conversation. But one of the big components of that is just doing the thing, getting work done. And it was also doing the thing was this like phrase that came up in my coaching session with one of my clients of the thought doing the thing was like, hey, look, I'm doing the thing. And it was like a little kid just biking down the street like, hey, mom, look, I'm doing the thing. Because so many times we have these ideas of this thing that we want to do, action that we want to take in our business, somebody that we might want to reach out to, and we just stop ourselves because we overthink it. So like Today we want to talk about getting into action, whether it's over the small things or the big things.
Ooh, I love that. I love that so much. And I have some personal stories with this. You know, I think we may have talked about this once or twice before, but my late sister, Annette would always say, do it now. What are you waiting for? And the way she said it was so powerful. So I would go to my sister, I'd call her from the States, and she'd be in England, and I'd be like, I am lost. I'm at a crossroads, don't know which way to go. I've got this opportunity. Someone wants me to work in their company to be this, they want to take over this. And you'd have these questions, and you'd be like, but I don't know if I'm qualified. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if you'd have all these I don't knows. And she'd be like, Cheddy, stop. Do it. Do it now. What are you waiting for? And the way she would say it would be like, whoa. Yeah, why don't I do it now? And what am I waiting for? She took away all of your excuses. She just overlooked them. I was like, go ahead and do it. And it was so powerful. And I hear her voice in so many things that I do. When it's time to just do something, I just do it. And if I do it, I hear myself saying, what are you waiting for? Because she would say it in such a way where, like you said, I'm doing the thing. She would just tell you to do the thing. She would just tell you to do it. And she stripped away all of the excuses and the weight and the reasons why you can't, and just made it a thing that you can do. That is so empowering. And I want to share that with people today, because in so many parts of our lives, getting started is the hardest part. So let's get started. Let's get it done. And what kind of things are on people's minds? I mean, what kind of things are people going through where they want to do something, but the minutia, the friction, the confusion, the perfectionism, the doubt, the procrastination, and the whole other salad of things that delay you, why do they get in the way? So what is holding you back right now from working hard? And then when you work hard, don't be like me, like I've been for the past 2 months, and burn yourself out because you're studying so hard. You got to play hard too. And just like you said, when you said that, everyone talks about work hard and play hard. But Michelle, you brought it home when you said you also have to rest hard. If that isn't the missing ingredient for the secret sauce that makes it all work, I don't know what is. Working hard, playing hard, and resting hard. What a balanced life that would be if we can master that. So let's talk about that a little more, Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, this weekend, during the event, the first half of the day, we sat in a large conference room. It was beautiful, and went over different components of coaching skills, right?
Yes.
And so we did that very focused for 3 hours straight. And then we all took a break. And then we would have an event where we were playing. So one was a beach party. They had like cornhole. They had a couple different games. They had, a DJ, great food. They had a bar, all the things, right?
Nice.
And so it was a lot of fun. And then we all went home, and I will tell you this right now, we did not rest hard. So we went into the next day, and the whole group, I went there was a group of 4 of us, and we were all exhausted the next day. Like, wow. We were literally like, this is like an out of body experience. Our brains are not attached to our bodies. We're just sort of like functioning and operating. And it's truly a reminder, right? That you have to rest hard. You have to get that balance in order to then perform optimally for the next required time. And so the next day, which was Saturday, so it started Friday. It was only 2 days, Friday and Saturday. The next day, which was Saturday, we were just trying to focus in order to work hard for 3 hours. And it was a challenge.
Wow.
It was a big challenge. And it wasn't that we had like drank. It wasn't like, we were like crazy partying. It was just that when you go so hard, when you work so hard, in the break we had between the conference part and the beach party, we all just talked about business pretty much for another, 3-4 hours.
Wow.
So we essentially worked hard for 7 hours, and then we went to play hard, and we just did not get enough rest. It was literally like right in our faces, like, oh, so then I can't perform optimally when it comes time to work hard again because we're not resting ourselves. And Cheddy, I totally agree. This is what I see in a lot of the times that we've been working together and talking over the last several months. Like, you are working really hard, and there are so many people out there that are pushing themselves to work really hard in work. And maybe you went back to school at the same time. And the conversation over something like working out, right? Because a lot of people work out with their friends. Like in my gym, it feels like a community. A lot of people that they're close with are right there in the gym. So you might say to yourself, oh, this is playtime because my friends are there. But I'll tell you what, it's not rest time. So
that I do know.
Balance. Yeah. So a lot of times we commit ourselves to, I want to have this habit of a healthy, workout regimen. I want to make sure, well, you have to be doing all the work for your job, right? And then some people are investing in themselves and personal growth or development or going back to school. Where's the balance with rest for yourself? Right?
Yeah.
So that's the balance component. But then the other component is the mental drain that we place on ourselves when we want to take action and we hold ourselves back. So we're literally pulling ourselves in two different directions. So if you can imagine, you're
Yeah.
exerting yourself because you want to move forward, but then you're exerting yourself because you're holding yourself back. Right. So
Yes.
you're almost double draining your mental energy because of indecision.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh.
So,
That right there. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Because
yeah. No,
I
no,
want
no.
to,
I was just going to say doing the thing is about making a choice
yes.
and about liking why we're making that choice.
Yes. And
So, go
yeah,
ahead.
if you've thought about these things in your mind, you've probably already made the choice. And then you're having another point, a counterpoint or a counter thought that is making you not do the thing that you already said you want to do, you're excited about doing. That's why the energy is getting expended. You're getting this emotional energy. You're charged up about doing the thing. You can see it in fruition. You can see the accomplishment, the fruits of your labor, and you don't do it. That energy is just spinning and goes nowhere. That's a lot of psychic energy, a lot of mental energy that you're using to get excited, and it goes nowhere. How many times can you do that? Is expending a lot of energy. And if you need an analogy, I like my analogies. If you ever stay in a car where you're at like a red light and someone's revving up the engine, they're revving it up, they're on the brake and they're on the gas, so the car wants to move, but it's not going anywhere. That's a lot of strain on the engine. Like I wouldn't do that too much. But that's the state we put our bodies in when we are amped and excited about doing something and we don't do it. And we keep doing that. We're just going back and forth in that space. We're just wasting that energy. And after a while, you're going to say, I don't want to do this anymore. But you never really gave your choice or yourself the chance to allow yourself to see yourself through that thing. You never enabled yourself to do it to completion or to really start down that road. You just stopped yourself. You're self-selected. You told yourself that it would not work, so you didn't do it. But you're excited about doing it. We've got to wrestle with that somehow. We've got to manage that. If you have the idea, if you have the desire, if you have the drive, the knowledge, the know-how, and it's all there, you're amped up, ready to go, do it. What is the worst that can happen? You can learn from it, or it can succeed. What is the worst that can happen? But then also counterpoint, what is the best that can happen? One of those things can happen or somewhere in between, but you will never know if you don't pull the trigger, if you don't release it, if you don't go, if you don't do it, if you don't start. So start, check it out. You just never know where that's going to take you. And we all have these things in our lives. We all have people that want to go back to school, change jobs, start a business, start a family, create a project, finish some kind of a task, whatever that is in your life. If that thing's out there, find a way to get it started. Find a way to take those steps, to get that ball rolling, to get that machine moving, to get that momentum started so you can see that thing through. It could be life-changing for you. It could be life-changing. And you talk about playing and resting. I have learned, Michelle, for the past few weeks, I've been struggling and drowning in like a sea of books and computer screens and videos and notes and all kinds of stuff. I learned something the other day that I knew. You know how you know something, but you don't do it and you don't really know it? I learned about a pomodoro timer, of which I have. But I've always used the timer. I use the pomodoro timer for speaking. So I know that I can always keep my speeches or whatever within a certain time limit and I can master that time. Whatever the time is, 15 minutes, I've got 15 minutes, right? So I use the timer for that. Someone said, use the timer to study. I'm like, wait, what? So I study for 30 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Study again for 30 minutes, take a 5-minute break. When I did that, those little breaks enabled me to work harder. I didn't play, but I rested. Just that little micro rest enabled me to come back, re-engage, and work hard again. My performance was so much better in less time. It was amazing. And at the end of that, I actually had time to play and enjoy myself and tune out and stop studying for a while and do some other things. It gave me hours back in my day. The hours that I was spending working were actually more productive because I took little breaks to reset, recharge, refresh, re-engage, and get in there again. So that was learning for me. So when you said that, I was like, yeah, I just learned that. So thank you for highlighting that, Michelle, because I didn't even think about how important the resting hard is. But the rest for me it was short, but it was deliberate and it was effective.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. I have a whole group of women that I work with that we all use the Pomodoro timer. We all have a like physical Pomodoro timer on our
Yes.
desk. And I share it with my son in the same, he's in the same capacity as you do with regard to timing his study. And
Yes.
one of the reasons why it works is it's not some indefinite amount of time. It's a finite amount of time. And you know
Yes.
that like, oh, I'm only have to focus for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes at a time. So your brain understands like it doesn't go on forever. One of the things that we learn is if you give yourself 2 years to accomplish that goal, 99% of the time, if not more, you will take the full 2 years, right? If you give yourself an hour to write one email, you're going to take that full hour. Even if you are doing the thing, you're not necessarily maximizing your efficiency and your work. So I know this conversation's all over the place.
That's all right.
We talked about working hard, resting hard, playing hard. We've talked about being indecision. We've talked about doing the thing, and it all connects together, right?
Yes.
Because we use the word balance, and we understand that balance is just somewhere in the zone between 2 points. The balance isn't always literally 50-50. It could be 60-40 in one direction and then switch and be 40-60, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's always somewhere in there. And it's just taking a moment to recognize like, where is my energy drain? Where is my inefficiency?
Yeah.
And what Cheddy's sharing is a lot of his inefficiency was around not resting.
Yep.
Right. And not like truly investing in rest, as opposed to like, I'm just going to rest when I pass out and I'm literally drained and I have zero battery life left. Like when your phone shuts down because you took it to zero and you're like in the middle of doing something and all of a sudden you get that little spiral thing. It's just like, oh, that
We're
just
done
shut
here.
down. Like you have no choice, right? Like
Wow.
that is you, Cheddy, at times where you're
Oh,
just
you
like,
called me out. That is definitely me. Definitely me.
so at what percentage, right, can you just actually look and say, oh, wait a minute, like I am going to invest in rest so I can recharge all the way back up to 100 or even close to 190%, if you will, knowing that my efficiency is so much greater when I'm rested versus when I'm at like 10% and I just try to use that last 10% of energy.
Yes.
So, and when we want to make decisions from our critical thinking brains, right? From that logic and awareness instead of our lizard brains where we're reacting to the discomfort that we feel and like taking new actions and things that aren't familiar to us,
Yeah.
then we need to take that from a place where we're rested and we're not trying to make these decisions through exhaustion, where oftentimes those sort of limiting thoughts will pop up and you're going to listen to them because you're just like, oh, this is way too difficult and uncomfortable.
Yes. And have you noticed, Michelle, when you're tired, like you said, I'm going to highlight this again. When you're tired and fatigued, you make different decisions, you take different actions, you have different thought patterns. So not saying it's better or worse, but your thoughts are different when you're fatigued. The things that bother you, the things that you can usually shrug off and brush off, they affect you more when you're fatigued. Your defenses are lower. It's needed almost to preserve whatever it is you're doing, to preserve your brand, your entity, you as an entity, to preserve that. You've got to get rest so you can be at your best levels. And we all know we're in our space of flow, our zone, our spot, that place where we get things done, our space of magic. When we're in that spot, we know it and it feels good and we know how we operate. We also know when we're not firing on all cylinders, when things aren't going well, when we're just missing, we're just off, we're just not on, if that makes any sense. And we're just not hitting things the way we ought to. And, you don't know why, but you know that you're not as effective as you could be or you ought to be. That may be an alarm or a point for you to say, I need to take some rest. I need to just kind of retreat to re-engage, take a step back to take 2 steps forward. I may have to take a breather to just shake my head up, just get some water, however you want to say it. I mean, there's a myriad of ways you can say it, but it really is just take a moment to rest, get a break so you can go back in there hard, because we are always on in some capacity. We're at work, we might be doing recreation, we might be doing things with the family, but we're always doing things. But you got to take a break within those things to be at your best in those spaces. And we have to think of rest as something we have to intentionally do so that we can work effectively and we can play effectively. I mean, when we talk about play, let's be real. Play might just be hanging out with your family, doing something that you value. But yet, because your energies are off, you're disengaged. You're not fully in the moment with the people that you care about. You're not fully into the thing that you're doing. So you miss out on that. So if we're going to be in a space, let's be in a space full on. If we're going to work, let's work full on. If we're going to play, let's play full on. But to do those two things, you have to rest full on at the right times. At the right times.
Absolutely. And that when you look at it in the big picture sense, it's all about living full on, right? So it's not just about surviving. It's not just about showing up and checking the check boxes and getting through another day. It's about really living. I mean, what does life mean to you? What does it mean to live and to experience life? It doesn't mean that we're always smiling and happy. It means that there's pain and that there's sadness and there's joy and there's all the things put together and they all coexist.
Yes.
So what you cannot have one without the other. Like you wouldn't understand what joy was unless you knew what sorrow was. Right. So like there is an element here where living full on means, yes, you're working hard, you're playing hard, you're resting hard, but I love how you made the comment of being able to be fully present in all three of those elements.
Yeah.
Right. And understanding what they are. It's not just I'm going to bed because it's the time to go to bed and I'm exhausted. It's like, oh, sweet. I get to rest now. I get to sleep now. And a lot of times you go to bed with worry, like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to fall asleep? Am I going to be able to get enough sleep? I have a big day tomorrow. I have a lot of work. I have to work hard tomorrow. And like, you're already worried before you even go to sleep instead of being like, yes, I get to go to sleep now. Right. Yes. Like rest hard kind of thing. So it's taking a moment to realize like we can be truly present in all components in life. And that is experiencing life for all that it has to give and living full on.
Yes. Yeah. Gosh, I love that. Living full on. And I like how you frame that because, being average is fine, but there's a part of me that thinks that you're exceptional in certain areas. So being average is not it for you. So you have to be on. And not only that, if you've got people that depend on you, whether that's family members, whether that's people at work or in anything that you do, they need you to be full on. If you are in charge of other people, you probably owe it to them to be full on. You don't have the luxury of being mediocre. You don't have the luxury of giving them half effort. So you've got to take the time in yourself to produce your best and highest and best efforts when you're doing things. It gives you better results. You'll probably enjoy it more. Just my 2 cents, but I could be wrong, but try it out. Check it out. You never know. So Michelle, have you ever had a time where you can think of where someone has said to you, do something, and you've like, no, I don't know, I don't want to. What did you do?
Yeah, I do it to myself all day long.
No, you too.
Listen, we're coaches. We're coaches, but it doesn't mean that we've got this ish like buttoned up and we just like command our brains. It's a matter of recognizing our brains are what's stopping us, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I do it all the time. Are you kidding? And then exactly. And do I still experience shame? Yes. And do I still experience self-judgment? Yes. And do I laugh at myself in that feeling of shame and self-judgment? Also, yes.
Yes. It's funny how you can say yes to all of those things. Yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just yes to all the things because I'm still human. Right. Yes. And that's the thing is I also probably give myself a lot more grace than other people do. And I also understand that I can love myself through my humanness and all my failures.
Yeah.
And I also understand that I can still be there to support other people while experiencing, uncomfortable and negative emotions, because that's the beauty of, the investment that we've made in ourselves over these years is recognizing like, oh yeah, I can feel like total crap and still have an awesome session with a client because it's not about me. Like
Right.
I can make it about like, I'm neutral and a neutral observer and I'm here to support you. But is there a time? 100%. So I've been told so many times that I need to be on social media, and Cheddy knows how I feel about social media. I am like
Yeah.
anti-social media. So most people, if you go to my account, I have like 2 posts up right now. I think I've archived everything and I'm about to archive the last 2, which means I'll have 0 posts.
What? The secret agent, Austin Powers.
I know. Well, I mean, I work through referrals, so it's never been an issue before.
That's true.
And yet, this event I went to, all of the coaches that I've ever worked with are like, "What are you doing? You need to be on social media and just like sharing what you do."
Exactly.
And my point in saying this is that, is there a time? Yes, every day when I think, man, I should really post on social media, and then I'm like, meh.
You sound like me.
And part of it is because, again, I have this, I have a strong reaction to how social media can really influence people in a negative way.
Yeah.
And part of me doesn't want to be a part of that. And then I know you always say, well, but you can be the opposite, the antithesis of that. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's a plenty of other influencers out there that are the opposite of that. And I think it's more about like the whole, meta Facebook stuff where I'm just like so much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's why we're on podcasts.
Yeah.
That's why we're in this, like, you actually have to kind of seek us out and learn about it as opposed to somebody feeding you my information. So eventually I'll get on there because, as I've said, my coaches have all said, like, you need to be on there. And yes, all coaches should have coaches. Like if your coach does not invest in coaching, then there's something up there. Just gonna say,
something in that milk is not clean.
We all need to experience what it feels like to be coached, so we can be reminded what it feels like to be our clients, even, right?
Yes, absolutely. 100% agree.
But yeah, Cheddy and I, we experience this every day. The things that we're like, oh, maybe I should do that. And then we stop ourselves for various reasons. Like, I know for one, Cheddy's generally like, oh, I'd like to do that. And then he's like, well, I have to study.
No, so, I don't say that all the time.
Also true.
Every week.
But within the trifecta of work hard, play hard, rest hard, it's a matter of assessing, where are you investing your time, and like, what percentage of your energy are you investing in? Focus and attention and love are you investing in all 3 of those areas? Ooh. And then where do you want to make a little bit of a shift there?
Okay.
Right?
Is this a question for me? Is that a question? Is that a question?
It's just a general question for everybody to,
because I can answer that.
Yeah.
I can answer that because,
it's a matter of taking time and assessing. And even if you assess it right now, it can shift in the next 3 months. So it's one of those quarterly things where it's like, oh, time to self-reflect a little bit.
Yeah. So people always say practice makes perfect. And I'm like, I don't buy that. Practice makes permanent. And what I've been practicing is to just push hard. Working hard for me in an academic setting is not working hard. It's actually working smart and effective. That's been the lesson that I've learned in the past 2 months. Playing is something I don't do enough of. And I've got to take the time to play so I don't start to not enjoy the working part. Almost like the fruits of your labor. Beyond that, the rest part enables me to maximize my performance when I am working and when I am playing. And also just to help me just to replenish and reset and to give myself time with my own thoughts. So I need all 3 of those components. And I'm seeing that so clear. This is so much for me, Michelle. You have no idea. This is like, we're saying this to everybody, but this is definitely for Cheddy Matthews. Like, I needed to hear this. And I think it's hitting home for me because I know exactly how I'm going to apply it in this quarter of the year, in this section of life right now. I can see how I'm going to apply this, Michelle. And that's what I take away from this is I need to work better. Like, for me, working hard is not working just hard. It's working more effective. Playing is being more intentional with the playing and actually being in the present moment with the people I'm playing with. And resting is really about being intentional and resting with a purpose so that I can do the other two things at a higher and just a higher capacity, the higher level. That's those three.
Awesome. Get it done.
I love that. I love the fact that we're talking about getting it done. And, it's funny. I quoted my sister, and you have to know that when I'm having doubts, she's the voice that I hear that is just telling me, you can do it. Like, in fact, not only can you do it, why aren't you doing it? Like, you should have done it already. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Do it now. What are you waiting for? Those words, I hear them whenever there's a fear of moving forward, whenever there's that friction of going forward, I hear those words. And even though she's not here, her words just live on and resonate with me to help me to keep propelling forward. So I hope you can find in your lives a place, a space, or anything or anyone that can push you, nudge you, motivate you to keep going or to do the thing that's going to change your life in a positive way. Thank you for listening today. And if you have enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe, follow, share, and most importantly, use whatever adds value to your amazing life.
And remember, even if life puts barriers in our way, we are still moving forward. Sign in again for a new episode of Winning Inside.
Thank you for listening to Winning Inside with Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman. If you enjoyed today's show, please make sure to click the follow button, rate and review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, or wherever you get your podcast. You can connect with Cheddy and Michelle at winninginside.io. Keep listening. Another episode is coming soon.